My focus, however, was immediately broken by M pressing one hand flat to my belly and the other hand to my shoulder blades, pushing me forward. Her hands put me back into the proper stance. I briefly toyed with the childish idea to change my position just so she would continue to touch me. My heart was racing and my face was flushed, though I was no longer able to tell if it was because of the gun or the woman teaching me how to shoot. I knew my quickly developing crush on M was dangerous. As if my feelings toward the coalition were not complex enough, I knew that getting romantically involved with the second-in-command would put us both in more danger. Logically, I could come up with a million reasons to stay away from M. I would be a liability, my feelings for her would influence my actions within the coalition. It was more likely I would be spotted as a commission criminal if I was in public flirting with her. But the instincts in my body, the way my skin tingled when she touched me, the way she made me feel vibrant and powerful, while also keeping me grounded, there was no way for me to deny that the emotions brewing within my chest were potent. A more naive, idealistic part of my brain was ready to consider the target practice session as our first date together, as it was probably the closest I would ever get to a normal first date while being involved with the coalition. When her hands went to my shoulders, telling me to relax, I forced the thoughts aside, trying to focus. "Take a deep breath," she murmured near my ear. I inhaled sharply, though it was not so much from her command as it was from surprise at how the vibrations of her voice traveled up and down my spine. "Line up your sights, slowly exhale, and squeeze." My finger pulled back the trigger, and the gunshot's booming echo engulfed the hallway. My wrist still suffered the jolt, but it did not startle me as much the second time. I completely missed the chip in the wall I had chosen as my target, but I did not care. That time the gunshot filled me with exhilaration, forcing a smile to grow over my face. "Good," M complimented. Standing behind me, she raised my hands once more. "One more time. This is your last bullet for today, so make it count." "How do I make it count?" I asked, acutely aware of how close she was standing. "Give it a purpose," she said. "Don't think of it as target practice. Aim and fire like it's the real deal." I turned over my shoulder, meeting eyes with her, entranced by the fire in her bright green eyes. Her hand drifted down my arm, raising the gun a little further, though she never broke eye contact. "Every time I practice, and I'm down to my last bullet, I imagine Bryant Morris standing in front of me." Her gaze turned to the far wall, and my eyes followed. Merely at the mention of the head of the Commission of the People, his cold expression came to mind, his dark eyes, his hard-set jaw, the aura he exuded even in photographs that awoke the instinctive need to run. I put all my anger into that bullet. I imagine his face, and know that if I ever have him at the end of my gun, I can never miss. I can give justice for those he's imprisoned, tortured, and killed. I even imagine that, somehow, that bullet can right the wrongs of the Second Revolution. My bullet hitting the mark would be a liberation, would remind him that all the information he has on me in that fucking file of his isn't me at all, because I'm more than just a classification, more than a checklist of reasons he thinks I'm dangerous to society. With that bullet, I feel like I prove that I am more than the Commission says I am, that I am finally taking my life back. Her words resonated through me, stirring up the anger that I had often kept deeply repressed. While still living as a law-abiding citizen, I could not allow myself to feel my rage, because I knew it would suffocate me. I had to push down my anger and think only of my survival. Standing in that dark hallway, listening to M's words, feeling the kinship and connection of fury between us, my breathing became shorter. I imagined Bryant Morris's face, keeping the image firmly in my mind as my heart raced and my blood boiled. A smirk came to my face as I thought about pointing a gun at the leader of the infamous Commission of the People and having his fate in my hands. The Commission was Central's loaded gun, the weapon used to threaten the American people and keep them in line. It was what had forced me to ignore everything I felt. It was what made me feel as though there was something wrong with me. It was what forced me to change who I was just as a means of survival. Pointing the gun at Bryant Morris, even if it was just a mental image, I could no longer ignore the hot ball of anger building in my chest. I was finally pointing the gun back at everything that had hurt me. I was taking my life back.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.